Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
Welcome back for another episode. This is Frank Agin, founder and president of AmSpirit Business Connections. Thanks to our loyal listeners and subscribers, and thanks to those who have referred us on to other people. And I want to say thank you to Michael Dirks for encouraging me to start reading Success Magazine all the way back in 2011. How do I know that? Because I got issues dating back to 2011, and I was thumbing through them over the weekend, and I stumbled across an article that I wanted to share with you. But before we get into that, I want to remind people that we are looking to add quality individuals to our stable of franchisees. The AmSpirit Business Connections franchise opportunity is unique in that it is geared for aspiring entrepreneurs or professionals to add on to what they're already doing. As I've said in the past, all our franchisees do something else for a couple hours in the morning. A few mornings a week, our franchisees operate the AmSpirit Business Connections program. The rest of their week, from that point in the morning on and throughout the rest of the week, they're accountants, attorneys, financial advisors, realtors, coaches, and consultants of various kinds. If you are interested or know someone who's interested, contact me. There's an email address in the show notes, or you can use the one we provide at the end of the podcast. Okay, back to Michael Dirks. He is a consultant with Leadership Management International, based in Columbus, Ohio. I've known him for years, and years ago, back in 2011, actually, he encouraged me to subscribe and start reading Success Magazine, and so I did, and I have a backlog of issues sitting on the shelf here. But anyhow, I was stumbling across a particular issue, and I ran across an article that profiled Sarah Blakely. Sarah Blakely is an American billionaire businesswoman. And just to kind of give you some background on Sarah, her initial plans, she went to Florida State University. Her initial plans was to go to law school. She didn't do well on the LSAT, the law school admissions test, and so she actually took a job in Orlando with Disney, but lasted there for about 3 months, and then went to a copier company selling fax machines door to door. I won't get into what a fax machine is. Many people don't even know what a fax machine is anymore, but that's neither here nor there. But she was in Florida, and she was selling door to door in Florida. She was a businesswoman. She was forced to wear pantyhose, not forced, but it was just kind of part of the culture of being a woman. I won't opine on that, whether it's right or it's wrong, but Florida's hot, and Blakely didn't like the appearance of pantyhose wearing open-toed shoes, and so she didn't like that. But what she did like is she liked the way that pantyhose eliminated panty lines and made her body appear firmer. And so when she would go out to functions, what she would do is she would cut off the bottoms so she could have the benefit of feeling better about herself, with what the pantyhose would do, but not have to wear the pantyhose with open-toed shoes. So at one point she moved on to Atlanta, and she continued on with her sales position, selling copiers, and she started to think on this particular problem. How do you solve this? And the problem with cutting off, and I don't know, I'm just going by what I've read. Cutting off the bottoms of pantyhose, the feet, just makes them kind of roll up on you, and so there was always an issue with that. She couldn't. While there were benefits, but there were some drawbacks with it, and so she continued to work that problem when she was in Atlanta, and she pooled her savings and began to research her hosiery idea. She at one point spent some time in North Carolina, because that's where most of the hosiery mills are, and she kind of presented her ideas to different companies of creating a pantyhose type product that didn't roll up, something that didn't necessarily have feet to it. She was turned down time and again, and she kept going back and forth until finally she found somebody who would take her idea on, and her idea became what was known as Spanx. And Spanx is a line of hosiery, lingerie, that women can wear. I guess men can too, but women can wear to not have to wear full-blown pantyhose, but have the firming effect, the slimming effect that pantyhose can provide. And we don't need to get into all the products that she offers, but this has become a booming success. Spanx is a booming success, and kudos to her. Sarah Blakely is credited as being the first billionaire businesswoman in the United States, self-made billionaire woman in the United States. That's just kind of a backdrop to the whole article. But what the article talked about, it was just a short article, is that Blakely shared in the article that routinely over her dinner, her father would ask her and her brother a single question. And it wasn't the trite, how was your day? And if you're a parent, you know how the how was your day question goes with respect to your kids. It generally goes, fine, okay. It goes nowhere. So instead of asking that question, what her father would ask is, how did you fail today? How did you fail today? Blakely went on to explain that her father wanted to impress upon his children. He wanted an answer beyond fine, but her father wanted to impress upon Blakely and her brother that a key to success was experiencing failure and using failure to learn and become resilient. Now, the notion that failure leads to success is really nothing new. We've heard it time and again that to be successful, you need to fail fast and you need to fail often. We've heard the stories of Thomas Edison, who failed 1,000 times to create the light bulb, and said, well, I didn't fail, but I actually succeeded in 1,000 ways of showing why it wouldn't work or how it wouldn't work. So the notion of failing to create success is not necessarily anything new, but the notion that a parent would sit down and say, okay, how did you fail today? And I find that question interesting because had I been asking my kids that, you can't come away with fine, okay, it was fine. There really kind of has to be an answer to that. So it was probably a more engaged discussion with respect to that. But what became of this is that Blakely indicated that she actually looked for opportunities to fail. She had to, well, not necessarily look for opportunities to fail, but she knew the question was coming and that she had to have an answer. So one, she had to look for ways that she did fail, and she had to look for opportunities to stretch herself so she might fail. So, I mean, there's lots of ways that we can fail, and we're not talking about big failures like I borrowed $100,000 from a bank and wasn't able to pay it back, but asking a cashier, can I use an expired coupon, for example, is a way of kind of putting yourself out there, and you might get a no. You might get a yes, but you might get a no. Or on a sales call, she might have asked, give me an opportunity to show you how you could benefit from our fax machines. I would have to imagine in that industry, in the door-to-door sale of office equipment, whether it's fax machines or scanners or copiers or whatever it might be, there's probably lots of rejection. The point is that Blakely looked for opportunities to fail. Not that she wanted to fail, but she looked for opportunities to stretch herself, and that if she wasn't getting a no, if she wasn't being turned down somehow or another, that she wasn't really advancing herself. And she credits herself, she credits this line of questioning, this mindset, and positioning herself to fail time and again as a secret to her success. In school, as a fax machine salesperson, and then ultimately in creating and growing the Spanx brand. Is Sarah Blakely successful? She's a billionaire. I think by any standard, she is a success, and she credits much of that success to stretching yourself, to finding opportunities to fail. Fail in small ways, fail in big ways. Fail, get up, dust yourself off, learn, become more resilient, and grow. No, failure is not fun, but it's not fatal either. So maybe success isn't finding the perfect path to follow so that you never stub your toe. Maybe it's using the path that others have followed as a guide, but then blazing a trail that's unique, knowing that while it's not perfect, you'll be better in the end. You'll have failures along the way, but those failures will lead more and more to success. So what does this have to do with networking? Really everything. Networking is really about putting yourself out there. Trust me, I fail every day. I fail every day, in getting people to return my calls. I fail every day in getting people to engage me in small talk. I fail every day. I post things on social media, and I might not get any reaction. I don't know if anybody even sees it. Those are all little failures. I go to events and I come back from events and come away with nothing. Time and again, there are little things that I'm doing that are failures. And I know people who don't embark on networking because they're afraid of those failures. I'm afraid to go to an event because I don't know if anybody's going to talk to me. I'm afraid to do anything on social media because I'm afraid something's going to come of it. I'm afraid to get involved because I just feel like it's going to be a waste of my time. Don't be afraid of those failures. Put yourself out there. Yeah, those failures are going to happen, but as many failures as I have great things that happen as well. One of the things I can share is that routinely, week after week, I reach out to 100 people. LinkedIn, emails that I've acquired, just reach out to 100 people and ask if they would like to have a conversation, just to get acquainted. There's no sales agenda there at all. It's as if we're standing at a networking event talking with one another. Send out 100 contacts a week. 90% of the people don't even give me the courtesy of a response. I call that the Midwest no. They don't have the courage or whatever, don't have the time to just say no. Of the last 10, 6 or 7 will say no. Don't have time, not interested. Some will be nasty about it and say, take me off their list. But there'll be another 7 that will say no. So 97% are not good. But there's 3%, 2 or 3 people that'll say, yeah, I would love to have a conversation. And whenever I engage in these conversations, it ends up going somewhere. Either leads to another contact that provides me an opportunity to be on a podcast with somebody or to interview somebody for a podcast, talk to somebody about a franchise opportunity. So I just have to continue to put myself out there and continue to take the no's, continue to have these little failures. Yeah, it's not fun. I would love everybody I ever reach out to give me the time of day, to have a conversation, to learn what I'm about, to allow me to learn what they're about. But it's not going to happen. But the failures aren't fatal. So here's my ask and possibly my failure for today. Would you please share this podcast episode with 3 other people and then ask them to do the same? Now, if you don't, that's my failure for today. If you do, there's my success. It seems that either way I can't lose. Whatever the case, I hope you fail today. I hope you fail tomorrow and the next day. And I hope those failures lead to something great.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.